morning, guys. Howard here with Introduction to Jazz Chords. Let me first say that this is definitely not a lesson for the advanced guitarist. I'm guessing that most advanced players will probably know a lot of these chord voicings already. But this is for intermediate or post-intermediate players that have found that they kind of like the sound of jazz chords, but they're not sure what they all are or maybe even how to put them together. This is not going to be an exhaustive lesson on this because the world of jazz harmony can get pretty intense. But I do want to rumble through, believe it or not, about 30 plus chords, showing you what I would think of as the most common jazz voicings and 3 to 5 different ways to play them on the guitar. So first things first, probably the most common thing about jazz chords is that they rarely use anything smaller than a seventh. That's not across the board 100% all of the time, but I'm saying for the most part. And the two most common jazz voicings are major sevenths and minor sevenths. So we're going to start with those and then just sort of venture out from there, okay? So the first thing I'm going to do is show you 3 to 4 to 5 different ways to play a major seventh chord, starting with the 6th string, the 5th string, and a couple on the 4th string as well, okay? These are not in any particular key, they're just standard fingerings, positions on the fretboard, and they're all movable, okay? So if you play a G major 7th here, then you can play it anywhere. Okay? And that's the first chord we're going to start with. It is a G major 7th at the 3rd fret, starting with the 6th string, and you can see the chord diagram up on the screen, and it is played like so. And you can see that the 1st string, the E string, is muted out, as is the A string, the 5th string. And that's muted out by laying your index finger, your first finger, kind of lazily across the top string. And again, I can't emphasize it enough that all of these chords are movable. Okay? Then we move to the next voicing, which is a C major 7th. We're just at the 3rd fret for a lot of these, or in and around the first 5 frets. And this is a bar chord, of course, and you're barring the first 5 strings at the 3rd fret. And then we're at the 5th fret on the D string, the 4th fret on the G string, and the 5th fret on the B string. And that is a C major 7th simply because we're at the 3rd fret, the C note on the fretboard. And again, it's movable. And of course, you can combine these various voicings together. Anything you can think to do with them is perfectly fine. The next chord is another G major 7th, simply because that's where the root note is. But this is the 2nd fret on the 1st string, the 3rd fret on the 2nd string, the 4th fret on the 3rd string, and with your pinky, the 5th fret on the 4th string. Pretty sweet sounding. And the next chord is also, the next major 7th is also off of the 4th string. This is an E major 7th, just simply so you can see it on the screen. I'm on the 2nd fret on the 4th string, the D string, and with your ring finger, you're barring across the first 3 strings at the 4th fret. That is also a major 7th, and again, it's movable. And then the last major 7th I'm going to show you is a D major 7th. And you're barring across the first 3 strings at the 2nd fret. And then with your ring finger, you're playing the 4th fret on the D string. And then finally, your pinky is at the 5th fret on the 5th string. And that's a really sweet sounding voicing. here's just a couple of ways to play some major sevenths in an open position. This is an A major seventh. You can kind of just see that one on the screen. And this is a D major seventh at the 2nd fret. Also, you can see that on the screen. And then an E major seventh. I think those are pretty useful to know as well. And you know, these are jazz chords, they're jazz voicings, but they've been used by a lot of rock players too. You know, Jimmy Page. And of course, guys like Steve Vai and Joe Satriani, Andy Summers of the Police. He started employing jazz voicings in their music way early on, okay? Okay, so now we move to minor sevenths, what I would consider the second most common chord used in jazz. And this is an F sharp minor seventh at the 2nd fret. Again, I'm just sort of choosing the frets randomly because all of these are movable, but just so that you can see them. This is an F sharp minor seventh, and I'm barring across all 6 strings at the 2nd fret. And with my ring finger, I'm playing the 4th fret on the 5th string, okay? And that's a sweet sounding chord. Okay, to play that same chord or a minor seventh off of the 5th string, you're barring the first 5 strings at the 2nd fret, your 2nd fingers on the 3rd fret on the 2nd string, and then your ring fingers at the 4th fret on the 4th string. And again, to play that same voicing, that same minor seventh voicing off of the 4th string, the fingering is 2nd fret, 4th string with your 1st finger, and I use my pinky to play the 4th fret on the 3rd string, and then the 2nd finger and the 3rd finger, I don't know if you can see that, to play the 2 first strings at the 3rd fret. And there's just a couple of variations that I think are pretty common in the world of jazz and even in rock now. A lot of new alternative music, you're hearing guys use a lot of jazz voicings. The minor seventh flat 5, okay? For instance, here is a B minor seventh flat 5. And I'm sure you can see the diagram on the screen, but it's 2nd fret on the 5th string with the 1st finger, 3rd fret on the 4th string with the 3rd finger, 2nd fret on the G string with the 2nd finger, and then it's kind of squashed together there, but your pinky, 3rd fret on the 2nd string. And that's a really cool sounding chord. And again, I keep emphasizing that these are all movable. And chord voicing that I'm particularly fond of is taking a minor seventh. Here is the B minor seventh again. Taking a B minor seventh and raising the 5th, a half step. It's a little bit more fusion-y or modern, if you want to call it that sounding, but I like that sound a lot. If you add that open 6th string into it, it really gets cool. Sort of John McLaughlin sounding. And again, you can move it. And here is also the minor 7th flat 5, reverting back for a second to the B minor 7th flat 5. This is how you play a minor 7th flat 5 off of the 4th string. This is an E minor 7th flat 5. I'm on the 2nd fret with my index finger, and you can use either your 2nd finger to bar the bottom 3 strings at the 3rd fret, or I like to play it like that, sort of James Brown style.